On the sixth day God said, "Let the earth bring forth the living creature after his kind, cattle and creeping thing and beast of the earth after his kind."
On the sixth creation day, God lets the earth, or land, remember the Hebrew word is the same, bring forth creatures according to their own kind, cattle, creeping things, and beasts of the earth. We can think of these things as domestic animals, such as livestock, wild herbivores that feed on grass, and carnivores that eat meat. Creeping things, browsers, and grazers are preyed upon by meat-eating beasts of the earth. Well, some consider creeping things to be reptilian. Psalm 148:10 categorizes beasts and cattle and creeping things and flying fowl, so reptiles might fit, but in Hosea 2:10 or 2:18, the divisions are beasts of the field, fowls of heaven, and creeping things of the ground, thus placing all undomesticated animals in the creeping thing group. Genesis 1:26 puts all undomesticated land animals into the creeping category when man is given dominion over fish, fowl, cattle, and every creeping thing. In Leviticus 11:21-22, a flying creeping thing refers to insects and names locusts, grasshoppers, and beetles as examples. The weasel, mouse, and tortoise are creeping things in Leviticus 11:29, lumping together rodents and reptiles. In Genesis 8:19, we encounter every beast, every creeping thing, every fowl, and whatsoever creeps upon the earth, implying two separate categories of creepers. So there are no neat, totally consistent categories here. For example, with reptiles preceding birds on the fifth day in Genesis 1:21, there is no need for reptiles on the sixth day in Genesis 1:24. What is important is that God said, "Let the waters bring forth, and let the land bring forth," implying secondary causes. God doesn't need to create each kind in separate acts of special creation. One species can derive from another, more primitive species through time, as the fossil record indicates, without contradiction from the Genesis narrative.
And God said, "Let us make man in our image."
The term "in our image" could apply to Adam specifically, as Adam was God's representative on earth rather than to generic humanity, and the Hebrew word Adam also means Adam, a specific individual. So it could have been translated, "Let us make Adam in our image." Nevertheless, Homo sapiens, as creation's pinnacle from our perspective, is among the last primate species to appear on earth, and the us in this verse could infer the Trinity or apply to the heavenly host.
And God saw everything that he had made, and behold, it was very good.
Thus a blessing was conferred upon the earth's resources, the life cycle, and the food chain. Everything in nature, man included, was very good.
Here's a question that I believe many of our viewers have on their minds. Is mankind to be considered a special creation, or are we connected to the phyletic tree of life through a common ancestry?
Well, that is a burning question, isn't it? If we turn to our biology books, we can get some answers from nature's point of view. Let's look at some of the categories of life, starting with the most basic of categories. We're part of the animal kingdom versus the kingdom of plants, even though there are certain genes that are common to both. If we look at the various categories of animal life, we can see the various kinds that belong in the same groups. Eukaryotes are organisms whose cells contain a nucleus and other structures enclosed within membranes. A metazoan is any animal with a body comprised of cells differentiated into tissues and organs, usually with a digestive cavity. The bilateral clade is composed of bilaterally symmetrical animals, insects, spiders, and earthworms, for example. The deuterosoma group includes echinoderms such as starfish and sea urchins and chordates. The phylum Chordata includes animals that possess a hollow nerve cord and a flexible rod between it and the digestive tract. It is an extremely diverse phylum and contains over 43,000 species. Vertebrates have backbones and include, for example, humans, dogs, birds, snakes, crocodiles, frogs, lizards, and fish. Amniotes are a class of vertebrates, including reptiles, birds, and mammals, that have a thin membrane forming a closed sac around the embryo. Mammals are distinguished from reptiles and birds by body hair, 3 middle ear bones, mammary glands in females, and a neocortex. A mammalian brain regulates body temperature and its circulatory system. Eutheria are placental mammals, which include elephants, bats, dolphins, and anteaters, to name a few. Primates arose from ancestors that lived in the trees of tropical forests. Many primate characteristics represent adaptations to life in this environment. Primates range in size from Bertha's mouse lemur, which weighs about an ounce, to the eastern lowland gorilla, which weighs over 400 pounds. The earliest known true primates date to over 50 million years ago. Catarrhini is one of the 2 subdivisions of higher primates that contain Old World monkeys and apes, which in turn are further divided into the lesser apes and the great apes, consisting of the orangutans, gorillas, chimpanzees, bonobos, and humans. Catarrhines are originally native to Africa and Asia. Until fairly recently, only humans were considered in the Hominidae group. Most other apes were put in the family Pongidae. Evidence linking humans to gorillas and chimps has grown so dramatically it now is most common to put chimps, gorillas, and humans into a common clade of closely related species. Phylogenetically, orangutans are less close, and gibbons are considered a distant branch. Here are some more Hominidae, and this is our human family. You may recognize some distant relatives in the group who we have come to know as Homo erectus, Australopithicines, and so on. Those of Eurasian descent have distant genetic ties to the Neanderthals, in fact. And selected members of our own species are pictured here. You might have noticed the little soccer player was on 2 slides, being both in the species Homo sapiens and in the Hominidae family. But in fact, she could have appeared on any of those slides. She is a eukaryote, a chordate, a vertebrate, a mammal, and so on, as are we all. And these groupings indicate we have something in common. Relatedness, connectedness. We share common ancestors. In the next episode, we'll begin to tackle Genesis 2, and thank you for watching.